Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Thought probably the most impactful discussion that Brian Kelly had yesterday was about LSU's wide receiver position. We know that when Malik, Nabers, and Brian Thomas moved on, it was going to be difficult for LSU to immediately pick up those pieces and just replace them. I realize you've had some unbelievable duos in purple and gold, from Reed and Clayton all the way back that far to LaFell and Bo, and you could move forward to Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, and certainly Jefferson and Chase. And you've had duos, and you've been able to create those more than one time. It's not as if it's a once-in-a-generation thing when LSU's got two really good wide receivers that go on to great NFL heights. But those two guys accounted for 55% of your catches, 62% of your yards, and 70% of your receiving touchdowns last year, and they moved on. So I think all of us kind of suggested preseason, you don't have a top 10 pick at receiver on this team. I don't think so. I don't think you have two first-round picks on this team. I don't think you have two guys who are destined to go over 1,000 yards on this team. But you've recruited pretty well. You're not relying on a bunch of true freshmen. You ought to be able to have a functional passing game with the collection you've brought, even though it'll look a little bit different and certainly won't provide the name recognition that those two guys did last year. And I think that was a reasonable expectation. I personally sat here and told you, I'm not ready to just hand Kyron Lacy the keys to the number one receiver spot. I said that in camp. Actually, I didn't say that in camp. I said that before camp because it took about 5 practices out there for me to go, oh, I think he can do it. that realization came pretty quickly for me at practice. So by the time we got to August, I had jumped on board, but I wasn't there in July. And he's been that. But the question is kind of okay, who's next? You have Chris Hilton coming on. Is he ready to emerge? Well, he gets hurt. You've got Aaron Anderson, who didn't do very much last year. Can he help? Well, he has. Xavier Thomas is kind of a kick returner, but he did have a nice year relative to the rest of Mississippi State's putrid offense last year. So how much does he help? And he's helped a little bit. And then you've got the young bucks. You've got Kyle Parker and Shelton Sampson. Are they ready to step up and help? And you kind of took that group into the season. And Lacy has produced, no question. Hilton has not helped. I didn't mention C.J. Daniels in that interlude, but you brought him in from Liberty, and then he has a meniscus injury. And it doesn't sound like Shelton Sampson's quite ready to play. And so you've got Anderson and you've got Thomas, but they're kind of the same guy. And all of a sudden you look up on Saturday, and Hilton's not dressed, and Daniels is not dressed, and Lacy's lying motionless on the ground in Tiger Stadium while everyone in purple and gold is breathless. And you're looking at a receiver group that's almost out of guys. And so Brian Kelly talked about that yesterday, specifically the injuries to Hilton and Daniels, and then what they're going to do with Trey'Dez Green. And so we'll hear Brian Kelly on his receivers.
Quite frankly, I think that that's what we have to do. We're probably in a position now where, watching him play, all of the complexities of playing the tight end position can be eliminated by, getting him more in a wide receiver role. And I think we're getting to that point where we've made that decision that has to happen. He's a talented player. We saw him on the touchdown, how easy it is for him to flash his hands and catch the football. And he just gives us more versatility. So, yeah, I think you're going to see that moving forward.
So Trey'Dez Green's a wide receiver now for this team. And that's amazing to me, not because he doesn't have the physical gifts to play wide receiver. He very much does. He is 6'7", he is 245 pounds, and that's bigger than most wide receivers. But he runs plenty well, he jumps plenty well, and he's not exactly Anthony Munoz trying to block in pass protection, okay? It's the first great left tackle I could think of. His game is geared towards catching the football, and it's going to be for the rest of his football career, whether that's 3 more years at LSU, whether that's 2 more years at LSU and a first-round pick, 2 more years at LSU and a 6th-round pick. He makes a team, makes a Pro Bowl, gets cut in training camp. However far Trey'Dez Green goes in the world of football, it's going to be catching the ball. And you saw that, as Brian Kelly just mentioned, in the game on Saturday when they put him in there in the slot and he ran that slant route over the middle of the field and caught that touchdown on LSU's first score of the game. He's immensely talented. Immensely talented. There's a reason this guy was the number 1 tight end recruit in the country coming out of high school. There's a reason this guy averaged 27 points per game as a junior in high school on the basketball court. Tossed in 11 rebounds as well. As a senior last year at Zachary, 53 catches, 960 yards, 12 touchdowns. He is an athletic freak. And they need him because I don't know how much you can count on Chris Hilton right now. I don't know how much you can count on C.J. Daniels right now. And you don't have enough diversity in your skill set between Xavier Thomas and Aaron Anderson to give you the full complement of what you need. You don't. You've got Lacey, who's a possession guy, catch radius guy, tough guy, over the middle guy. You've got Thomas and Anderson, who are really good east and west, and Anderson's done some good things north and south. And I would love it if C.J. Daniels and Chris Hilton were healthy because I think they bring a lot to the table as far as receiver goes. I think that C.J. Daniels can be a really impactful player in the Southeastern Conference, though he hasn't been yet. And I think Chris Hilton would add a completely new dimension to this offense, but we've talked about that since week 1, and we haven't seen him out there. It's not his fault. Brian Kelly said he does everything right. But if I'm sitting here analyzing LSU's wide receiving core and I'm telling you how awesome Chris Hilton's going to be on Saturday, I don't know how seriously you can take me on that because he hasn't been able to play. But Trey'Dez Green gives you a different skill set, a red zone skill set, a third down skill set, and maybe most importantly, Trey'Dez Green might give you some easy throws because his ability to go up vertically differentiates him in a big way from defensive backs and might make things a little bit easier for Garrett Nussmeier. If y'all were watching the game on Saturday, Garrett Nussmeier was having to throw the ball into tiny windows. He was putting the ball on guys' face masks. We know we talked about the last throw to Aaron Anderson. Like, the ball was having to be placed right on the money. You don't necessarily have to put it right on the money to Trey'Dez Green. Trey'Dez Green is so big and so physical and so gifted, he can make it work. Now, I don't know how much of the offense he knows. I don't know how good his route running is. And I talked to him about this like 4 weeks ago when they brought all those freshmen that one day to media availability. They brought Deshaun Spears. They brought Trey'Dez Green. There was one other true freshman they brought out there, whoever. But we talked to Trey'Dez Green. And I kind of I was like, have you had to work on like route running and stuff? Because I'm imagining in high school you could kind of just run past everybody and jump over everybody. He's like, yeah, like it's been an adjustment. Like they've had to do a lot of coaching there because when you are that much more athletic and bigger than everybody else in the high school field, there's just not a lot of technical ability that you need. You got all the physical gifts that you could possibly want. So it's going to take some time, but I think he can make big. It takes some time to be as well-rounded as he needs to be. He can make some plays Saturday. He made some plays this past Saturday. The question is, what does it do to tight end? And I'll tell you, I mean, you know that Mac Markway left and that you only have 3 on scholarship right now. Now you're moving Trey'Dez Green out. You heard Brian Kelly say it. That's not like we'll give it a look. Like, that's what we're doing moving forward is what he said. He's playing wide receiver. So now you only have 2. You've got Mason Taylor and you've got Kamorian Pimpton. And I went back and looked at the snap counts, and it's pretty jarring and not surprising at all, but the numbers are what they are. Mason Taylor played all 79 snaps against Ole Miss. He has missed 6 snaps all year, and 3 of those were against Nichols when the game was decided. He's basically missing less than 1 snap a week, and he had them all. So he's not coming off the field, and that's fine. I'm happy with him on the field all the time. If he's okay playing 79 snaps and he's not compromised, which based on the fact that he had a huge he had 3 huge catches on the last drive, I don't think he was gassed. He seemed to be okay to me. Looked good making that run that didn't count all the way into the end zone on LSU's last drive of regulation. So if he goes down, you're going to have to make some moves, and you might have to bring a walk-on along that can help you block a little bit. We'll see. I don't know how ready Pimpton's ready to play or not. But with Trey'Dez Green moving on, it's Mason Taylor's whole gig there, which is not different than it has been all year, but your numbers are getting very, very thin there at tight end. But I like the move. I think it helps LSU. They need some diversity in the passing game, and it makes things a little bit easier for Garrett Nussmeier, and I think Trey'Dez Green gives you that option coming up on Saturday, and I think you'll see that for sure coming up in the ball game in Fayetteville. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button. Leave your comments below and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.